I'm Jim Consor. I started Consor Homes 50 years ago when I was 35 years old. And I had the support of my wife, Mary Kay, who helped decorate and clean the homes. Yeah, that was a wonderful time. My mom was our bookkeeper from time to time, part-time. So it was really a small business. Yeah.
It was a real adventure. Every day was different, I think.
That's great.
But we worked 7 days a week, actually. So we didn't have a lot of time to enjoy our children, but we put a swimming pool in our backyard, and that really helped entertain our children and the neighbor children. So.
And that was a great idea because we never were able to really go on a summer vacation because that was the busiest time of the year, for our business.
Right.
I'm Mary Kay Consor, married to Jim Consor. We just celebrated our 63rd wedding anniversary in June, and I've just supported everything that Jim wanted to do, as far as business ventures. And we moved around a lot before we moved to Albany because Jim he'd changed jobs and he always changed to a better job. And so then we decided we would move back to Oregon, and because that's where his family was from and my family too. So that's what happened in 1973.
Well, I always wanted to be in business for myself. I thought maybe that I would take over the family business, the rock quarry business that my father was in. But when I was in the military in England with Mary Kay and Greg and Stephanie, he decided to sell it to his best friend and retire. My dad retired at 49 years old, and he died at 61 years old. So when I came back to Oregon, I had to start all over, and he helped finance, got a credit line for us to buy manufactured homes. My brother and I, we were a partnership, and but that only lasted about a year and a half. And I brought another guy in by the name of Gene Davis, and he and I were partners till 1985. Probably being able to bring my sons into the business. I've always felt that family is very important, and the boys were all a big help to us. During the time that we were going through this partnership, I went on the planning commission for the city of Albany and was chairman of it, and then went on to the city council. The reason I did that was so that I would learn how to get through the roadblocks put up by the government, and it was a great learning. In fact, at one time they wanted me to run for mayor, and being a small businessman, that's not very wise. I have no regrets about that. It's we've exceeded more than I ever thought we'd be able to do, and I contribute a lot of it to my sons, Matthew, Greg, and Stuart. They've really come up with good ideas and implemented good ideas, and we all work together very well, In fact, we've often been told by associates, banking associates and business associates, that they're surprised that we get along so well together. I guess one of them was the time that these people wanted to trade us this manufactured home, and they lived over in the coast. And Mary Kay and I went over to appraise the mobile home, and I don't know, did you come in or not?
No.
But then when I went in there and walked around the house, on my pants, there must have been 1,000 sand fleas that came out of the carpet, and obviously we didn't take it in trade.
I was glad I didn't go into the hospital.
I don't think so. I don't think so. It was, I felt like we had a lot of spiritual guidance through our business and, you know, in the manufacturing, all our businesses. I think that we had some God-given talents given to us and ideas, and, you know, so I think we need to pay attention to our spiritual side of things. Yes, that's get an education. If you want to become a builder, get a degree in development business. I got my education in building through the use of public office, and I would always encourage that. Greg, at one time, was a member of the Planning Commission and helped him very much in the building business, too.
He was also president of the home builders.
Right, yeah, and he joined a trade association, and I think, wasn't he state president? Yeah, he was state president at one time of the State of Oregon Home Builders Association. So try not to go to court. And all the time that we were in the manufactured home business, we had been sued, but we always settled and we never went to court. But that was very seldom. But we thought that's the proper way to do business.
All right, so I'm leading this off as the MC this year because I have the pleasure of being the president of our family business. And so I'll tell you a quick story about how we decided who's going to be president. So actually what we do is we rotate the presidency every year. So the three of us become president every third year. So it's what we call a troika, and Matt can probably describe the troika better than I can later. But we were at a family business meeting probably 20 some years ago, and we had family business advisors come in, and we were at Chinook Winds Casino for an overnight, and we all gave our pitch to Dad why we thought we could be the president of this company, you know. And Dad's like, well, yeah, I see all of your guys' points, you know, and so, but I tell you what, here's what we're gonna do. We're at the casino, let's cut cards. So we went over to the casino, we got a deck of cards, and we cut cards. And so that's how we decided who was going to be the first president that year, and then we decided we would rotate from that point on, too.
And I won.
Yeah. Anyhow, so we'd like to tell you a little bit about each of us and our family business and how we got to be where we're at after 50 years. And so I thought we would start with my dad telling a little bit about you know, his history and why he started Consor Homes 50 years ago. So.
That's because I didn't want to starve to death. I'm the assistant to Greg and Matthew and Stuart. Anyway, we started the business back in 1973 when I was 35 years old. Today I'm 85, so 5 years from now I'll be 90. So anyway, our family has always been prone to being entrepreneurs, being in business for ourselves and taking a risk. And I've got to say that after 63 years, Mary Kay still is supportive of me of some of the poor decisions that I make. But anyway, we started in the mobile home business in Corvallis, and I had my brother and I started in business. We couldn't get along. We parted. I took a partner in. He stayed there till 1985, and we built some other properties while we were together. And anyway, in 1985, I bought him out, and that was really, really a tough time because it was kind of a recession time, and so we essentially had to lay off everybody. There was just me left, and Matthew had hurt his arm down in attending the University of Oregon, so I needed some help. And I knew Matthew was a good salesman because he'd worked at a men's clothing store while going through high school. So Matthew helped us save the business, and it continued on very good. And then Greg came along, and we decided the business wasn't quite big enough, so we had bought some property in Tangent, and we did a subdivision there called Lone Oak Estates, and that was the first subdivision that Greg built with a family, and then we just kind of kept going, and then of course the mobile home business went in the tank, and so then we focused on subdivisions, and we built subdivisions in North Albany, and we're the ones that kind of got it going here in Tangent, and then that business kind of went to hell in a handbasket, and that was one point that we really came to respect mailmen because they had a good solid job, and it was tough. But anyway, Matthew came on board, Greg came on board. We started building houses, and then we needed more help, and Stuart came on board, and so now we have a really, really good team. What we do is we have Greg is the builder, Matthew's the developer, and Stuart's the finance guy. So we have it all together, and it's worked out great. We have really good relationships with our banks, but most of all, we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for the good staff like you that we have. Thank you for joining us and staying with us. Thank you.
So, how do you think a business can survive for 50 years? What is there, like one thing or a couple things that? So anybody, volunteer? What? Integrity. Okay, sure. Yes, Sabrina.
Working together with everyone that contributes.
As a team. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody else? Getty. Passion. All right. Adaptability. This is good. Brandy.
The ability to adapt and overcome.
Okay, we're getting there. Communication. William?
I was just saying dedication, because what Jim was saying, where he's just dedicated.
Right.
Away.
Right. Yeah, excellent.
There's one other one, Stuart.
Oh, faith and hope. Yeah, prayer. So we've talked a lot amongst ourselves over the years about moving our cheese. And I don't know if anybody knows what that adage comes from, but it comes from a book that's about change, and it's called Who Moved My Cheese? And what it is you have to kind of be adaptable. Somebody said adaptable. You have to be willing to change. You have to be able to realize when change is coming. And so Dad mentioned a little bit about some of the things that we've done over the years, and my brother's and I are going to share a little bit about ourselves too, about how we've changed over the years too, looking back at the different jobs that we've done. So when I joined the family business, I worked out in the field. We were doing mobile home setup at the time, and Dad was building a mobile home park, so I went out and dug ditches, right? I mean, that was the job that was available at the time for me to do. And then fortunately I was able to go to college and focus on business aspects and accounting and numbers and things like that. I was a furniture mover for a while too, so sometimes, and actually we have lots of stories, but we always enjoyed moving furniture at the manufactured home business because it meant that we sold that house, that inventory, we got to move the furniture out. So it meant we had made a sale, but I know I had a job at Free United Van Lines. But I joined the company in 1991 and was involved in the manufactured home sales and then sales management of our team there. And then when we started building houses out in Tangent, we took our sales team with us and started selling homes. And our attorney says, look, you're supposed to be licensed if you're going to be selling real estate. We're like, oh, okay, well, I guess we probably should do that. So I went to my dad's younger brother, Uncle Rocky, and he'd been a real estate broker for 38 years. And I said, hey, Rock, I want to get my own real estate license. He says, okay, yeah, you can hang your license with me. Now, he hadn't been practicing real estate for a long time, so we had to pretty much go to school on our own. So we bought a Windermere franchise. Then we went back to being independent. And so that was in 1998 when I got my real estate license, so 25 years ago. But that then afforded us the opportunity to change with the business because we had people coming in that had to sell what they had to buy what we had built. So we then had a staff that could list homes and sell them on the real estate market and that. So But part of understanding how to build a business is getting involved. So I got involved in the local Realtors Association, went through the chairs and became the president of that. But you learn from others in life. So spent a lot of time, and Matt will talk probably a little bit about his experience through the real estate as well. So, and then there was a point in time where we were getting involved in investment properties, and Jason actually was working for us in was it the apartment complex or mobile home park that we had?
First is Oakcrest.
Yeah, Oakcrest. So we had these apartments, and Jason was managing that. He came on as a sales licensee to sell homes for us, and that was how many years ago?
2006.
Yeah, 2006. So what's that? 17 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we realized that we could manage our properties, and through Jason's encouragement, we started our own property management company. Although the first apartment complex we built, we hired another company, and we're kind of relying on them to market the property, and we realized that we know how to do this, we could do this. So we started our own management company and went from there. But one of our focuses over the years has been vertical integration. So when we were in the manufactured home business, we would finance the homes, we would do the site development, build the garage, deliver the home, finance the home. And so we had all the vertical integration. Well, you see that now in the company that we are today too, right? We build the properties, we lease the properties, we manage the properties, we maintain the properties. So that vertical integration's been a big part of our company. So, and then the other goal that we've decided is to try to build a recession-resistant company. So that, if we do go into another recession, Dad talked about being one in 1985, there's probably 2 or 3 others since then that we've been involved in. But we wanted to build a company now where we can resist those pressures from the economy, and so we think we've done a good job in that. So the next piece is we got involved in strategic planning. I said we did family business planning, and through our strategic planning, we realized that we should document how we've been able to survive for 50 years. One was being able to move our cheese, but the other was determining what our values are. And I don't know if you want to, review the values in that.
So we, throughout our history, we've always recognized hiring good people helps everybody become successful. We've been focusing on succession planning for the last several years. And one of the exercises that we went through was we had to sit down and decide what our top 5 family values were and what our top 5 business values were. And unfortunately, I don't have the family values here, so I'm only going to talk about the business values. So we agreed that these 5 were most important, and we're trying consciously to hire people based on these business values, okay? So the first one is competence, and competence is the quality of being good at what you do, adequacy, the possession of required skill, knowledge, qualification, or capacity, okay? The second one, honesty and integrity, okay? Quality of being honest, upright, fair, adherence to moral and ethical principles, soundness of moral character, okay? Family, okay? Obviously, any group of people closely related by blood or marriage, as parents, children, uncles, aunts, and cousins. And I want to say my brothers and my dad, mom are particularly proud that we have more than, in several instances, more than one family member that works with us and helps us, whether it's Jason, Landon, Robert and his boys, me and my kids, Susan and Eric, these 2 here, Matt and Michelle, and Ruben and Freddie. Family's important to us, and we hope you all feel the same way. Dependability, the quality of being able to be relied on, trustworthiness, or consistency. And then the last one is, and part of this exercise, we had a list of like 50 words we had to pick from. And we made this one up because it wasn't on the list. The initiative, readiness and ability to initiate actions or be enterprising. So we wanted to share these values with you. They're posted in my office. I've seen them posted at the shop, and I would encourage you to post them in your office just so you know what we think is important, and we hope that you find some of them important. The other thing I should share is that I don't remember which four, but 4 of these were on our family values too. Okay? There was one on our family values that didn't make it to the list, which was spirituality. So I'm just grateful that you are all here and you've helped my mom and dad achieve their dreams, and we hope we can help you achieve yours. Is there anything else I need to talk
Well,
about?
tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the family business, what you've done.
Okay. All right, so I'll give you a brief history. My first job that I can remember was I was a little kid, and I don't know if it was my mom or dad, but they ordered these little packets of flower seeds or vegetable seeds and told me to go out and sell them door to door. And so I did that. And then after that, it was greeting cards. So I was going door to door in the neighborhood selling greeting cards. But my first real job was as a paper boy. Then I was a dishwasher, and then I was a ditch digger for Dad. And then I was I moved a lot of irrigation pipe for a farmer. And then I was a night watchman in a seed warehouse for a farmer. And then I was a banquet waiter. Fun fact, the first year that Clyde Drexler got to Portland as a trailblazer, I got to wait on him at a banquet. He had hair then. So then after that, I became a waiter. And then I sold electronics. And then I went to work in a manufactured home dealership, and then I joined the family company. So, and in the family company, I've been a salesperson, finance manager, service manager, I don't know what else. Oh, and I've been a general contractor. So I want to tell you how we got into building houses. So one night, we were sitting around Mom and Dad's dining room table, and we were drinking Windsor Canadian whiskey. Dad used to drink then, doesn't drink now. And I was bitching and moaning to Dad because our business had changed so much, because not only were we selling and delivering the manufactured home, we were pouring foundations and building garages and drilling wells and septic tanks and bringing the power and utilities. And so basically we're building houses. But the houses we were building were coming out of a factory where we had no control over the quality. So I'd had a couple too many. And I said, Dad, we ought to be building our own houses. It can't be any harder than what we're doing. And so the next day, Dad goes into the city of Albany. They had foreclosed on some lots. He bought some lots. And as he's walking out of the city hall, a friend of his, he'd known for years, was walking in and says, Roger, what are you doing here? And Roger says, well, I'm going to buy some lots. I'm going to build some houses. And Dad says, well, I just bought some. You know, why don't you buy your lots, we'll buy our lots, and we'll put them together and we'll start building houses. And so that's what they did. But before we got started, we had to sit down with Roger, and we had to come up with a name for this company. And we're sitting around the table, and we're talking, and then they said, well, we got the idea when we were drinking Windsor Canadian whiskey, and Roger says, oh my God, that's my favorite whiskey. Let's call it Consor Homes. So that's how we started building houses. So we learned from Roger, and Roger learned from us, and then we went from there.
So I was telling Darren that I've never really been afraid to get up in public, do public speaking, and that kind of goes for all of us here. And I think that's comes from our dad's gene. Has never been afraid to get up and speak his piece or speak his mind. But that comes one step further from our Grandma Margaret. And to give you an idea, we've lived in this area for a long time. She went to Albany Union High School. And when we first started in business, Grandma Margaret was in her twilight years, and she was very opinionated. And she would write prolific letters to the editor. And when it got to a point where she was complaining about the bulb outs and these new bulb outs they were doing at the intersections in downtown Albany. They were supposed to be these pedestrian-friendly bulb outs. And we basically said, she'd signed at Margaret Consor, and we're starting a business here in town, and we're working with the city officials to buy lots from them and build houses. And finally we said, hey, Grandma, please quit writing letters to the editor, okay? We got a business to operate here. So anyway, we've built a lot of things around here that we are very proud of, and I just want to share a few things. My dad and his partner Gene built the Columbus Greens Mobile Home Park, if you know where that is, up by the Mennonite home, and it actually started that movement towards that direction. We built the first modern subdivision in North Albany, which was Laura Vista Acres and then Scenic Meadows, and the streets out there named Dover and Paddington that are all throughout North Albany were started by us. And then we built the first modern subdivision in Tangent, Oregon, called Lone Oak Estates. And then we went on to build and donate land for a really nice city park there. And it has a lone oak, a nice, gorgeous pin oak in the middle, and a lovely playground for the neighborhood kids. And then we came out here to Millersburg, and at the time, Millersburg had a big wood chip pile out here by the highway. And for those of you, this was 30 years ago. And Albany was known as the armpit of Oregon because of that chip pile. As you drove by, you would smell those chips steaming, and people would just go, man, Albany. Well, it was actually in Millersburg. And so when we first came out here to build homes, that chip pile was on its way out, but people were very concerned about the aroma. So we got a study, it was called a trade wind study. And then one of the things that we would share with prospects is, look, the wind blows from the west to the east here, you'll never smell the chip pile, okay? We promise. And that worked. And so we built the first modern subdivision out here called Morningstar, and then we went on to build Sweetwater Estates, 4 or 5 different phases there, and then all of it started moving this direction. So, and then we assembled the land for, Dad assembled the land for what is now the Heritage Mall. He sold all that land many years ago, right next to Bi-Mart there. And then we assembled the land for what is now the Lowe's Home Improvement Center. And so we've been involved with a number of signature projects here that we're very proud of, and they all took a lot of work. They took many years to accomplish. And in our history, it's not all been successes. We've not always hit home runs. We've not always hit singles. There's been failure too. We bought some property in Tangent, an 80-acre parcel there, and we worked for years there. Spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to try and build new housing out there, and the city of Tangent was not in favor of it. The mayor particularly was anti-growth, as was the state of Oregon, and finally we just were never going to get to where we wanted to go and abandoned that project after many years of work. We've been in and out of businesses. We closed our manufactured home business, which was we had a retail center in Albany and another one in Springfield. And that was really forced upon us by a big recession, and there was lack of financing for that product. So no one could buy, and there wasn't loans for that product. And so we moved on. We tried to develop smaller lots and homes here in Millersburg, but they were not at all interested, even though their code required it. And so we took them to the Land Use Board of Appeals. And eventually, after a couple years of back and forth, we just said, look, we're going to sell the land and move on. And so we moved on into building more apartments. And so we've watched regulation and laws and rules increase every year to make what we do more and more and more complicated. And to Stuart's point, it's required us to change what we do, how we do it, what we do, and add additional businesses, because these regulations create opportunity for us. And we've had and lost some really great employees who've moved on in life, and a few have succumbed to illness too, and we remember them. And we've had many great relationships with vendors, suppliers, engineers, planners, attorneys, customers, banks. Great relationships, and some of which we don't miss at all. So anyway, together we've written a lot of great chapters in our business history with their help, and we hope to write some more great chapters ahead with your help. And so I just want to talk about a little bit about the future of what we have planned. And I'll explain a little bit about what I do and how that kind of plays into our future plans. I do a lot of commercial real estate, so I'm the guy who buys the property and gets the entitlements as a developer, but I also do transactions outside of this in office buildings and apartment buildings and so forth. And so through that network, I'm always looking at what are other people doing? What are other people doing that's successful? What are other people doing that is successful that we could potentially integrate into what we do? And really, that's how we became an apartment builder. And because of becoming an apartment builder rather than a home builder, Greg saw the need that, gosh, we can manage these ourselves. Like Stuart said, we had hired a group to market our first project. We've been a home builder marketing our own homes. It's like, they don't even have sandwich boards or balloons out. We know what to do, so we fired them and started marketing our own products. And now we have a property management business. We hired maintenance folks to maintain our stuff and determined, hey, we can do a better job ourselves. Let's get our own good people. And so that's where we are here today. And so there are future opportunities that we're looking at to integrate in that will provide opportunity for you and for us to grow together and improve. So to talk a little bit further about the future, we have a couple of projects pending. We have all but one permit to build 75 apartments in Salem on McClay Road, if you know where that is. South Lancaster, and you go out towards Corden Road. And we're waiting on a DEQ permit. We actually would have had that permit, but DEQ wanted us to go out for public review, public comment for 35 days. This is the fourth public comment period regarding permitting. It was the Corps, it was the city, it was another DEQ permit, and now DEQ again. And so we're not going to be able to break ground on that this year because of that waiting period. And then we have another larger project, all approved. In fact, we just got our site improvement permits from the City of Albany issued yesterday after a year of back and forth with them. And that's for 41 homes and 120 apartment units. And again, because of the weather coming, we probably won't be breaking ground this year. We have to dig a 22-foot deep sewer line, and that is not a wet weather project. That is a midsummer project. So that's what we have teed up right now. And so we're always looking, I'm always looking, I'm always trolling the internet for properties or opportunities. And so that's what we have at this point in time, and it's very exciting for us. More work to do, okay? More units to manage, more units to maintain. If you know someone that you think would be a good member of our team, a family member, or a friend from church, or someone that you know, we're always looking for great people to join our team. So we're always recruiting, okay? Because we're continuing to grow.
So change is a big part of all of our lives, right? And we are agents of change, right? I mean, people are moving in and out of our properties all the time. So we have to recognize that those people are going through change as well. So we have to embrace that change, try to deal with it the best that we can, stay positive about it. You know, I always think that the one time that somebody comes out to our apartment complex, it's their open house day, right? I mean, they've never seen what we're doing until that day that they get there. So we have to be the ones that embrace them and want them to become part of our family business. I mean, you know, put shelter over their head, right? So that's one of, you know, Dad always said, it's one of the most important things that we can do in life is provide food, shelter,
Clothing.
and clothing. We chose shelter, right? So and we're glad we did because this is, you know, giving us many memories and many stories. So we're gonna have a raffle, I believe, Susan, is that right? Sure. And then we're also gonna have some giveaways. So we have some giveaways. We're providing a book, even though we didn't write it, you know, Who Moved My Cheese. It's a super easy book to read. You can read it in 3 or 4 hours. Get the audiobook if you don't want to read.
Has it got pictures still?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, no.
scurrying are the main characters.
No, Robert, it's not a coloring book.
I read that to my kids when they were little because there is a lot that goes on in people's lives around change. So anyhow, I would really highly recommend you guys take the time to read it. And there's a copy for everybody too. So, and then we got a chance for people to play some games if they want, and then we'll conclude our celebration. Oh, and there's desserts. All right, the takeaways.
Yeah, I did have one more comment. I wanted to find out if there are any of our team members that aren't here that you know of. I know Delia and Olivia are at Four Corners. Is there anybody else that didn't make it today?
Jacob, Tasha.
Okay, Tasha from McMinnville.
Right.
And Jake from, and I talked to Olivia. She and Delia are doing leases today with the guidance of Spider. They're just killing it at Four Corners up there. I don't know if you've heard, but I think about 30% of the units are committed. 35%. Let's have a round of applause for that team. Awesome. At 35 units, not 35%, 35 units? 35%, okay. Wow, that is wonderful. And they're moving in tenants this weekend. I know they're doing 9 move-ins on Saturday, and Olivia told me the last move-in's at 6 p.m. Saturday night. So they're just killing it up there. So that's why they're not here. I don't know, I didn't hear from Tasha. And then who was the other wasn't here?
Well,
Jake.
our nephew Jacob.
Oh, Jake. Well, he's busy delivering units. So anyway.
Cindy.
And Cindy. I knew. Oh, she's on vacation. Okay.
She's on a ship somewhere.
Okay.
Well, let's see if there's any questions. If anybody's got any questions about it.
Yeah, any questions or comments? Anything you want to ask us about or share? Any good stories about Greg?
Well, here.
We do.
Well, while I'm handing out tickets, my history with Tangent, or with Consor, started in Tangent in 1994 when I met Greg Consor, and my husband and I bought the second house out in Lone Oak Estates from him. And Jake, I believe, wasn't even born at the time. And I remember making a little onesie shirt for him, and I painted on the Consor logo on it because I was so happy with the house. It was the first new house I ever owned, and it was so much fun. And then some years later, it actually worked for him. I would always say I wish I had been on the job about 20 years before I did.
One of our factories thought that they would start building 2-story manufactured homes. And so we thought, wow, okay, we'll get on that. We know how to deliver these things. We can get a crane and do all that. And so Matt had the brilliant idea, well, let's do this. Let's put one at the state fair so that everybody that comes to the state fair will see a 2-story manufactured home. The first, the only one, pioneering it. And so the 3 of us went up there. We got it all set up. I mean, like in 4 days' time. They didn't give you hardly any time to get it set up.
10 days.
10 days, okay.
Pour a foundation, lift it up with a crane, weld it together, outfit the interior, site it, landscape it, furnish it, etc.
The floor plan was horrid. I mean, you imagine trying to do 2 14 wides on top of each other. I mean, it wasn't a very good floor plan. But we worked it from like 11 a.m. till 9 p.m. for like 14 days, But the great part was at that time, the state fair had horse races. So we'd go over there and take our break and go bet on the ponies a little bit. So there was some diversion involved in it too. But I'll tell you Matt will tell you about the delivery and the sale of it though. So.
Yeah, we knew it.
We sold it. The only one we sold 2, I think.
We didn't want to pull it apart and haul it to our lot and have to pick it up with a crane. And this little old lady and her son came by and says, this would fit on our lot and here in Salem. And so I said, well, let me go look at your home site. And I literally dropped what I was doing and we went and looked at their home site. And come to find out, it was 1 block from the governor's meeting. And so we dug into the zoning code and found out that it was permitted and it wouldn't be a problem. And I sold it to her that day. And we delivered it, we had to store it until we got their site prepped, and our site was very hard sloping. And so we brought the crane in through an alley. and we pulled the home down onto the street below, and we picked it up from the street, from the alley. Took a big crane to do it. It was a total game of inches getting it in between the big mature trees in that neighborhood. And if you drive by it, you would not know it's a manufactured home because we had added a garage to it. And then we sold a few others after that, but it didn't take off quite as much as we expected. And again, the factory was building them, we weren't, and so the quality just wasn't there for us, you know. So yeah, that was fun memories. And we worked 10 to 10 and got to know the carnies next door. The food. Right, the carnies, and so we started eating in their breakfast tent because the food was really good there. And then our break was to go over and bet on the ponies, and then at night we'd go over there and drink beer, and those were good memories.
All right, I got a memory. This is from the mobile home business. You know, when you're in business, you're always trying to find a competitive advantage, or you want people to remember you. When we were in the manufactured home business, we were always coming up with ideas. And so we found out, and we had a model display where all of our units were furnished and decorated. That was Mom's job, to decorate them. We found out that the local Sears store was going out of business. So we had this great idea that we're gonna go, I mean, we got the furniture, we might as well get some people to sit in the furniture. So we bought a bunch of their mannequins. And we set them up in different model homes on our lot. And people would walk in and they'd be startled that there was a place sitting in the chair. And of course, they're gonna remember us, right? You know, because we knew that normally people would visit you 2 or 3 times, and we wanted to put into their brain, well, let's go back to the place with the mannequins. And that worked for a while until somebody, we don't know who did it, took 2 stand-up mannequins, a man and a woman, and laid the woman down on her back.
All right, let's. All right, yeah, wait. Hold on. Tell about the ice cream.
Hold on.
The ice cream story.
No, so I thought you were going to tell them the normal marketing story. See, if I was at a timer. So we were always a believer in what they call guerrilla marketing. Is how can you do your marketing that's now they call it viral marketing, and that's different and edgy and low cost. And so every year they had a manufactured home show at the fairgrounds, and all the major manufacturers in the industry would display their wares, and they would invite a dealer to be the dealer, and then it would be open for the public for a week. And they would sell a lot of houses up there. And we didn't get invited one year. So we decided, well, we didn't get invited, we can invite them to our place. So we made these flyers one Friday night before the big weekend opened to the public, and we went up to the fairgrounds, and we put flyers with an open invitation to our private home show in Albany, Oregon. And we printed thousands of those, put them on every car up there, and got in deep doo-doo with the industry association. People were so pissed at us, and I don't think we got an invitation to the show for several years after that.
No, but we sold some houses.
But we sold some houses. So, yeah, another viral marketing idea that Stuart reminded me of is back in the trailer house days, although trying with a lot of relationships to manage between the customer, manage the factory's quality, get it financed, and then of course the customer. Not a fun business, I don't miss it at all. But we would come up with these ideas. We started doing gas homes, and we built Ashwood Estates, and soon have the gas company come do a cookout for us. And after that, we decided that we were going to do these private home shows again. And so that when people would come out and shop the strip of manufactured home retailers, including ourselves, in the summer, which was our peak season for selling houses, we would give them a quart or 2 of Dairy Gold ice cream. And why would you give a customer ice cream? Well, if he's...
To get their attention.
Well, good point.
What happens with ice cream, though?
What happens with ice cream?
If they were going to other lots.
Instead of leaving our lot to go look at the next guy's lot, they had ice cream in the car. They needed to go home before that melted. And we gave out gallons of ice cream this summer after summer after summer. So that was our method.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Members of the Consor Group, I would like to tell you how much it means to us that you have assisted us to celebrate this 50-year anniversary. Mary Kay and I have stepped back from the business, and we're proud to be able to step back because you have left us a very good, solid company.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your service.
Consor
Consor Homes, celebrating 50 years.